The episode opens on a sun-baked desert highway. A rundown car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. The heat is relentless, waves shimmering off the asphalt, the silence pressing down on them. They have no choice but to wait it out. The older man leans against the car in the shade, sweat dripping, as he tells the younger one that they'll have to wait out the worst of the heat. Once the sun goes down and the air cools, then they can start walking. The younger man doesn't take it well. He paces angrily, muttering about the bad luck of breaking down here of all places. What bothers him most is that he had a date lined up with a girl, and now, because of this, he's likely going to miss it. Hours crawl by. As the sun dips lower, shadows stretch across the sand. The older salesman exhales, and apologizes for how things turned out. He admits that maybe it's time to reconsider this life of going door to door, chasing strangers with desperate sales pitches. The job, the road, the grind, it all feels like it's leading nowhere. Later, as night settles in, something shifts in the atmosphere. The desert grows strangely alive, the silence carrying a weight it didn't before. The older man looks across the barren land and tells the younger one a story, that long ago, this entire desert used to be covered by sea. He paints a picture of waves rolling over this very place, of countless fish swimming where sand now lies. The younger man scoffs, shakes his head, and climbs into the back seat, muttering that it's nonsense. He tries to sleep, leaving the older man outside, staring into the horizon as if he can still see the ocean that once was. Evening deepens. The car sits in the silence of the desert, until suddenly, the radio crackles to life, startling both men awake. They sit up, confused, then their eyes widen. Outside the car, the air itself glows. Shapes begin to move. Fish, glowing and translucent, glide through the night sky as if the desert floor were still an ocean. The men step out, jaws slack, as they see schools of ghostly sea life drifting across the land. Manta rays soar above them, jellyfish pulse with pale light, shoals of fish ripple in dazzling waves. The younger man stares in pure awe, breathless at the sight. Unable to resist, he laughs, his excitement bubbling over. He lifts his arms, jumps, and begins to move as though swimming, mimicking the creatures around him. To his amazement, it works. He floats in the air, surrounded by schools of fish that weave around him. The older man shouts, telling him to come back, but the younger one ignores him, swept up in the beauty of it all. He's swimming with the ghosts of the sea, smiling, lost in the wonder of it. Then, without warning, the mood shifts. The fish dart away in a sudden rush, scattering as if sensing danger. The younger man pauses mid-swim, confused, looking around. Out of the dark horizon, a massive shape emerges. A shark, its mouth gaping wide, teeth glinting as it glides toward him. The older man yells, telling him to get out of the way, but it's too late. The shark surges forward and tears into the younger man, his scream cut short as blood scatters into the air. The older man stands frozen by the car. He stares at the spot where the younger man had been, disbelief flooding him. The wonder of the vision has turned into horror, leaving him alone in the endless desert night. The next episode opens in rural China during the late 19th century. The world feels quiet and steeped in tradition, with sprawling forests, villages, and the weight of old folklore hanging in the air. A young boy named Liang lives with his father, a skilled demon hunter. His father has spent his life tracking down spirits and shape-shifting creatures, and Liang often tags along, learning the trade. One night, the two are summoned to a wealthy household plagued by a huli jing, a fox spirit said to enchant men and drain their life. The father waits with his sword, explaining to Liang how dangerous these beings can be. When they encounter the huli jing, she's not some mindless monster but a beautiful woman who shifts between human and fox form. She's caught trying to get to the wealthy man and the father attacks her, while Liang hesitates, struck by her humanity. During the struggle, the huli jing's daughter appears. She's terrified, begging Liang to leave her mother alone. The father ignores this, and in a violent clash, he strikes the fox spirit down. Before she dies, she locks eyes with Liang, and he can feel her fear and sorrow. Her daughter, left behind, vanishes into the woods. This encounter leaves a deep mark on Liang. He begins to question his father's rigid worldview and the morality of hunting these spirits. Years pass, and Liang's father passes away. Liang grows more curious about the world changing around him. Colonial powers bring steam engines, railroads, and foreign technology to China. Villages transform into bustling towns, tradition giving way to modernization. Later, Liang often goes into the forest with food in his hands, making his way to where Yen hides. The girl he once met as a frightened child has grown, but the loss of her mother and the rise of industry have left her struggling. She's still a huli jing, but it has become harder and harder for her to return to her true fox form. The animals that once roamed the land have fled as factories rise and train tracks cut through the countryside. Hunting has become nearly impossible, and Liang's kindness is one of the few things keeping her alive. Later, Liang tells the truth: he won't be able to stay in the village forever. The world is changing too quickly, and he needs to find a life of his own. He hopes she can endure without him. Yen doesn't beg him to stay, but there's a flicker of sadness in her face as he's about to leave. Years pass. Liang moves to Hong Kong, where steam trains thunder through the city and British colonists dominate every corner of life. He takes work on the train lines, laboring under their command, building and maintaining the very machines reshaping the land. Despite their rule, Liang has grown to admire the power of technology. He sees beauty in its precision, in the way it remakes the world. One evening, as he leaves work, he notices a commotion down the street. A beautiful young woman is being harassed by men. Liang steps in to intervene, pulling her away. When he gets a closer look, he's stunned. It's Yen. She explains to him that she can no longer transform into a fox. The pollution has poisoned the air and stripped her powers away. She's trapped in her human form, weakened and vulnerable. The next day, as Liang walks to work, he takes in the sight of the city around him. Technology is everywhere. The land he once knew is gone, but unlike Yen, he embraces it. While she mourns the magic that has disappeared, he's falling in love with invention and dreams of building machines of his own. That night, he's woken by a sound in his home. He quietly makes his way downstairs, only to find Yen waiting in the shadows. She shows him her body, and Liang freezes. Her arms and legs are no longer flesh, they're mechanical, metal replacements bolted onto her. Her voice trembles as she tells him what happened. The governor drugged her, mutilated her, and replaced her limbs, using her as an object of pleasure for him and other men. For years, she endured. But one night, she snapped and killed him. Now she wants revenge, not only on the men who violated her but on all those who exploit and corrupt. She asks Liang for his help. Though horrified by her suffering, he agrees. Soon, he begins to rebuild her body piece by piece, engineering stronger, deadlier replacements. Where once he built train lines for the British, now he uses his talent to forge a new form for Yen. In time, Yen is reborn. Her body is no longer fragile flesh but a sleek, powerful design of metal. She can transform again, this time into a fox of steel, faster and deadlier than before. With her new body, she hunts through the city, stalking the alleys and shadowed streets. Elsewhere, a young woman runs through the dark, chased by a group of men. They corner her, ready to do harm. Before they can, Yen emerges, half human, half metallic fox, and tears through them with merciless precision. The hunters have become the hunted. The episode begins in a filthy junkyard on the edge of a city, a sprawling mountain of trash where discarded machines, broken furniture, and heaps of metal cover the ground. The place looks abandoned, but it's not. This dump belongs to a man named Ugly Dave, a grizzled old junkyard owner who lives right in the middle of it all. One day, a city official arrives at the dump. He's clean-cut, well-dressed, and completely out of place in the sea of garbage. The man is there on business. He tells Ugly Dave that the dump is scheduled to be cleared. The city has plans to redevelop the land, and Dave is being forced out. Dave, however, doesn't take the man seriously. He grumbles, scratches himself, and keeps on doing what he does, treating the official's visit like an annoyance. Ugly Dave decides to distract the city official with a story, telling him that one night, he was sitting in the junkyard with his buddy, sharing drinks and shooting the breeze. His friend had been nagging him, telling him to get out of this dump, to go live in the real world instead of wasting his life surrounded by trash. Dave said he was perfectly happy right where he was, as the junkyard was his home. His buddy eventually got up to take a leak, disappearing into the piles of garbage. A moment later, Dave heard him shout. Gunshots rang out, echoing across the yard. His friend came sprinting back, panicked, yelling that there was something out there. They both raised their guns, ready for whatever was coming. But before they could get a clear shot, something huge moved through the shadows. The monster lunged, grabbing Dave's friend and dragging him screaming into the dark. The creature showed itself, an ugly, heaving thing made of muck, teeth, and slime. Dave opened fire, blasting at it, trying to scare it off. It staggered back but didn't stop. That's when Dave jumped into his forklift, revved the engine, and charged straight at the thing. He rammed it hard, tearing into its body, but what he saw inside froze him. Among the twisted garbage and muck making up the monster's body, he caught a glimpse of his old dog, still howling in pain, fused into the thing's mass. That's when it hit him, the creature wasn't just some random monster. It was born from all the trash he had collected, a living nightmare created from the junkyard itself. Dave trails off, staring at the official. But the man isn't moved. He shakes his head, clearly annoyed, and tells Dave he's not here for ghost stories or excuses. He just wants the signature on the paper so the city can take the land. Before Dave can respond, the man's eyes flick upward. Behind him, the garbage starts to shift, and the monster Dave spoke of rises from the piles. With a wet, sickening sound, it lashes out and grabs the city official. He screams, thrashing helplessly as the thing pulls him into its massive, slimy body. His cries are cut short as he's swallowed whole. Ugly Dave just stands there, calm and relieved. The city man is gone, and the dump is still his. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.